Has it ever happened that a married woman's words, her glances, or her behavior leave you confused? Today, we're going to decode those hidden signals, the ones that are important to understand and even more important to handle responsibly. Confused signals are far more common than most people realize, especially in emotionally complex situations involving a married woman. Human behavior is layered, nuanced, and heavily influenced by environment, past experiences, emotional needs, and social boundaries. When two people interact, particularly in a space where one of them is already committed, even the smallest expression can get magnified. A simple smile may seem warmer than usual, a casual compliment may feel more personal, or an act of kindness may be interpreted as emotional interest. The challenge is that these signals often overlap with normal human behavior: kindness, empathy, respect, or friendly attention. Because of this overlap, distinguishing genuine emotional attraction from simple politeness becomes extremely complicated. People read signals not only based on what is happening in front of them, but also through the lens of their own desires, insecurities, and fantasies. This creates a psychological filter that can distort reality without anyone realizing it. Misinterpretation becomes even more dangerous when emotions get involved. When someone starts liking the attention they're receiving, they unconsciously begin to search for meaning in every gesture, every smile, and every word. When a married woman laughs a bit longer at your joke or stands closer during a conversation, you may start believing she is sending hidden messages, when in reality, she might only be comfortable around you or simply displaying her natural personality. The mind, when emotionally charged, amplifies small behaviors and creates stories around them. This is where the real danger lies. The difference between what is happening and what you think is happening becomes blurred. People often see what they want to see, not what is actually there. There is also the social and psychological pressure that complicates everything further. Married individuals often behave cautiously to avoid unnecessary assumptions, but sometimes their personality, stress levels, or emotional needs can unintentionally give mixed signals. She may be going through a rough patch at home, feeling unheard or emotionally drained, and your presence may feel comforting, not because she romantically likes you, but because she feels emotionally safe for a moment. This safety can manifest as openness, warmth, or deeper conversations. Unfortunately, these exact behaviors are the ones most commonly mistaken as romantic interest. When someone is vulnerable, their emotional expressions become softer, more attentive, and more connected, and this can easily be misunderstood by the other person. Another layer of danger appears when assumptions begin to shape actions. Once you believe she likes you, you might start changing the way you behave around her, becoming extra caring, extra available, or subtly flirting. Even if she had no romantic intention, these small shifts from your side can create discomfort, confusion, or even emotional complications. And if she was feeling something but trying to suppress it, your changed behavior can unintentionally encourage emotional attachment. This is where relationships, whether yours or hers, start getting affected. One misunderstanding can create a chain of emotional events that neither of you originally intended. Most importantly, confused signals become dangerous because people rarely talk about them openly. Instead of asking for clarity or maintaining boundaries, individuals rely on assumptions, imagination, and subtle hints. This silent interpretation turns harmless interactions into emotional entanglements. When boundaries are unclear, minds wander, feelings intensify, and reality becomes distorted. This is how a simple conversation or a friendly gesture can slowly turn into an emotional storm that no one prepared for. Extra attention and emotional prioritization are often the earliest and most telling indicators that someone is forming a deeper emotional connection, especially in situations where such feelings are unexpected or socially complicated. When a married woman begins to prioritize someone emotionally, it doesn't usually start with dramatic gestures or obvious flirtation. It begins quietly, subtly, and almost invisibly through the way she responds, remembers, or reorganizes her energy around a particular person. People don't give extra attention to just anyone. They reserve it for those who stand out from the rest, even if they don't openly acknowledge why. This attention might appear harmless at first. Maybe she responds faster to your messages than she does to others. Maybe she listens more intently when you speak, maintains longer eye contact, or remembers minor things you said that even you forgot. These actions may appear small on the surface, but emotionally, they reflect a shift in priority. The human mind subconsciously allocates more energy, thought, and emotional bandwidth to the people it feels connected to. So when she gives you more attention than usual, it often indicates that you have become more emotionally relevant to her than she intended. Emotional prioritization becomes even more significant when it starts to affect her decisions or her daily routine. For instance, if she adjusts her schedule to match yours, checks in on you more often, or chooses to share parts of her day with you that she doesn't share with others, this behavior reflects a growing emotional investment. Married individuals generally divide their emotional space carefully because they have responsibilities, relationships, and commitments already occupying their mind. When someone outside that circle begins to receive a portion of that emotional space, it signals a shift that is rarely accidental. She may choose to reply to your messages even when she's busy, or she may reach out to you during moments when she feels low, confused, or overwhelmed. This selective sharing is not random. People instinctively lean toward those who make them feel seen, understood, or emotionally safe. When she prioritizes you in her emotional world, it often shows that she has started attaching significance to your presence. Another dimension of early emotional prioritization is how she reacts to your moods, actions, or behavior. If she becomes overly concerned when you seem upset, unusually supportive when you're stressed, or deeply affected when you withdraw, these emotional reactions reflect more than ordinary friendliness. They show that your well-being has begun to matter to her on a level that crosses typical boundaries. She might worry about how you're doing, offer help without being asked, or go out of her way to make your day easier. These are not casual behaviors. They require emotional effort, and people do not give that effort unless something inside them is shifting. Her attention might also intensify in conversations. She may laugh more freely at your jokes, ask thoughtful questions, or show curiosity about your life. This level of engagement suggests that she wants a place in your emotional landscape, just as you have unintentionally taken a place in hers. And perhaps the clearest sign is the contrast in behavior. If the way she interacts with you is noticeably different from how she interacts with everyone else, that difference itself is a form of prioritization. People reveal their preferences through patterns, whose messages they respond to fastest, whose presence they gravitate toward, whose opinions they value more, and whose emotional cues they pick up on instantly. When a married woman begins to give someone outside her relationship more emotional weight, it usually means that her mind and heart are allocating space in ways she may not consciously admit. This early shift, subtle as it may appear, often becomes the foundation for deeper emotional entanglement if not recognized and handled with maturity. Personal and vulnerable sharing is one of the strongest indicators of deep emotional comfort, especially when it comes from someone who usually maintains boundaries or has other commitments in their life. When a married woman begins opening up about aspects of her life that she normally keeps guarded, her fears, frustrations, insecurities, or private struggles, it reveals a level of trust that is not casually given. Vulnerability is never random. It is an emotional risk. People only take that risk when they feel safe, understood, or emotionally drawn to the person in front of them. This kind of sharing often begins gradually. She might start by revealing small frustrations or subtle disappointments in her day, testing whether you respond with empathy or judgment. As she starts to feel emotionally supported, the sharing grows deeper, more personal, and more emotionally charged. This progression is a clear sign that she feels psychologically anchored in your presence, using you as a space where she can release the parts of herself she hides from others. When someone begins to express their inner world, thoughts they cannot voice elsewhere, pains they cannot express at home, dreams they fear others won't understand, they are letting you into an intimate emotional space. For a married woman who already has an established partner, crossing this emotional boundary means she feels something uniquely comforting with you, something she may not be experiencing in her primary relationship at the moment. It does not always mean romantic feelings, but it does show a shift in emotional alignment. Where she chooses to place her deepest thoughts reflects where her heart feels safest. When she confides in you about sensitive issues like relationship stress, personal doubts, or emotional exhaustion, it signals that you have become a refuge in her emotional landscape, someone she relies on not just for conversation, but for emotional regulation and mental relief. That level of intimacy is rarely shared without a deeper emotional connection forming underneath the surface. Another layer of this comfort shows up in how she discusses her vulnerabilities. If she speaks softly, avoids eye contact at certain painful moments, or takes long pauses before revealing something personal, it suggests she is sharing something significant. And if she looks at you afterward to gauge your reaction, it shows that your opinion and emotional response matter to her. Vulnerability requires courage, and the presence of that courage means she believes you will not use her honesty against her. She may also share emotional stories that she hasn't told anyone else, not even her spouse. These could include childhood traumas, hidden fears, long-term dreams, or private disappointments. Such revelations show that she has crossed the line between casual connection and deeper emotional bonding, because these kinds of truths are usually reserved for the person who feels emotionally safe. This comfort also becomes visible in her behavior during these moments of sharing. She may become more expressive, talking with a softer tone or a gentler body language, signaling that she feels secure in your presence. Or she may become visibly emotional, eyes watering, voice trembling, breathing slowing, as if she finally feels free to let down her guard. These reactions do not happen unless someone feels emotionally held and unjudged. And the more consistently she shares her vulnerabilities with you, the more she begins to associate emotional relief with you specifically. That association alone creates a powerful emotional bond, sometimes stronger than physical attraction. It means her mind has subconsciously begun to rely on you for connection, validation, and understanding, placing you in a position of emotional significance that goes far beyond ordinary conversation. Physical or conversational proximity is rarely accidental because human beings naturally gravitate toward the people they feel drawn to, emotionally, psychologically, or subconsciously. When someone repeatedly finds themselves standing closer to you than necessary or initiating conversations more often than expected, it usually reflects an internal pull they may not openly acknowledge. For a married woman whose interactions are often shaped by boundaries, routines, and social expectations, this kind of repeated closeness holds even more weight. She is aware of her surroundings, aware of how she is perceived, and aware of the lines she cannot cross. Yet if she still chooses to stay near you, it signals that something within her feels comfortable, connected, or curious in your presence. Physical proximity is one of the subtlest forms of emotional expression. People lean toward those they feel safe with, those who make them feel valued, or those whose presence brings emotional stimulation. So when she chooses to stand beside you in a group, sit near you during a casual gathering, or adjust her body slightly in your direction during conversations, it is rarely without meaning. Conversational proximity is equally powerful. If she consistently initiates discussions, asks thoughtful questions, or finds excuses to keep you engaged, it shows that she is intentionally maintaining a space of connection with you. This may come through simple actions like asking how your day was, checking on you when you seem quiet, or bringing up topics she knows you enjoy. These behaviors create a bridge between your worlds, slowly, softly, and often without deliberate planning. People do not sustain conversations with those they feel indifferent toward. They do so with those who intrigue them or bring some level of emotional fulfillment. And when the same person repeatedly becomes her choice for conversation, even when others are around, it demonstrates a preference that is not coincidental. She is choosing your voice, your presence, your energy again and again. This choice, repeated over time, reveals more than words can directly express. What makes this especially significant is the way her proximity contrasts with her behavior around other people. If she behaves differently with you, stands closer, speaks longer, laughs more, or listens more intently, it highlights a personalized connection that she is not offering universally. Human beings express their preferences unconsciously through patterns. If she is more available to you emotionally or physically, it is because you occupy a distinct mental space for her. She may find herself walking in your direction without thinking, joining conversations you are part of, or slowing her pace when you approach. These are instinctive actions that reflect where her attention naturally rests, and attention is rarely unbiased. It follows interest, comfort, or emotional attachment. Even more telling are the small moments where proximity appears subtle but meaningful. Moments where she lingers after a conversation instead of leaving quickly, where she finds reasons to stay nearby, or where she positions herself within your line of sight, even when not directly interacting with you. These actions suggest that your presence influences her environment. She may not openly express her feelings, and perhaps she is not even fully aware of them herself, but her behavior speaks. Proximity becomes a silent language, revealing the pull she feels, the comfort she experiences, and the connection she subconsciously seeks to maintain. Emotional memorization, when someone remembers the small, seemingly insignificant details about you, is one of the clearest indicators that you hold a special place in their mental and emotional space. Most people engage in conversations casually. They hear words, they respond politely, and then they move on. But when a person begins to store your details, the way you like your coffee, the stories you mentioned only once, the dates that matter to you, the emotions you felt in certain moments, it shows that you are not just passing through their mind, you are staying there. This type of memorization is deeply psychological. The human brain only holds on to what it finds meaningful, comforting, or emotionally stimulating. A married woman already has a full emotional world to manage, and when she begins storing fragments of your world within hers, it reveals a focus that is not accidental. These details do not survive in memory unless they carry emotional resonance, or unless the person has begun paying special attention to you on a deeper level. When someone remembers your smallest preferences, it reflects an elevated level of awareness. She might recall your favorite snacks, the songs you connect with, or the things that stress you out. These are not details she needs to remember. They are details she chooses to remember. And this choice alone is powerful. People do not hold on to neutral information. They remember what emotionally touches them or what they unconsciously want to revisit later. Her ability to recall your minor habits or unique quirks shows that she processes your presence with interest, curiosity, and emotional alertness. It also reveals that she is observing you carefully, noticing the aspects of your personality that others might overlook. This deepened perception usually comes from a place of emotional preference, not mere politeness. Another strong sign appears when she connects past conversations to present moments. If she says things like, "You mentioned this before," or "I remember you like this," she is signaling that your words stayed with her long after the conversation ended. That lingering presence is very telling. Married individuals often have a limited emotional bandwidth because of responsibilities and existing bonds. They cannot afford to invest emotional storage into everyone. But when she remembers something personal about you, like your childhood memories, your fears, your long-term goals, or even your random jokes, it shows that her mind gives you priority space. Emotional memorization is not passive, it is active processing. To remember, one must care enough to register the moment, attach meaning to it, and revisit it internally. That sequence only occurs with people who matter emotionally. Even more revealing is when she uses these remembered details to create comfort for you. She might bring you something you casually mentioned liking weeks ago, ask you about a problem you forgot you told her about, or acknowledge a special day you barely highlighted. These gestures show not just memory, but emotional involvement. She's not simply recalling facts. She is using those facts to build connection, support, and closeness. That reflects a mental investment that goes beyond surface level interaction. Emotional memorization becomes the bridge between casual interest and deeper attachment because remembering details is a form of emotional responsibility. It means she carries parts of you within her thoughts even when you're not around. Replaying conversations, analyzing moments, and internalizing pieces of your personality. This level of mental engagement reveals a focus that cannot be faked, forced, or coincidental. It is the natural outcome of genuine emotional pull. Soft jealousy or protectiveness often emerges long before a person consciously admits to themselves that they feel emotionally attached to someone. It operates quietly, subtly, and often without deliberate intention. When a married woman begins to display small signs of jealousy, not overt or dramatic, but soft, almost unspoken, it reveals that you occupy a space in her emotional world that goes beyond casual connection. This kind of jealousy is rarely loud. Instead, it shows up in the way her expression changes when you mention another woman, the slight shift in her tone when you compliment someone else, or the way she suddenly becomes quieter when the conversation drifts towards someone who might be important to you. These reactions come from a place she may not fully understand herself. She might rationalize them as concern, curiosity, or protective instinct. But beneath those explanations lies an emotional attachment that she is trying to keep hidden. Human beings do not feel threatened by something they are indifferent to. Jealousy only rises when someone fears losing a level of emotional closeness they have silently begun to cherish. Protectiveness works similarly, but expresses itself through care rather than discomfort. If she feels protective of you, worrying when you seem stressed, stepping in when someone speaks harshly to you, or offering advice that seems unusually thoughtful, it reflects that she values your well-being on a deeper level. Married individuals often reserve emotional protectiveness for their spouse or children. Yet if she extends that instinct toward you, it shows that you have crossed into a more intimate emotional zone. This protectiveness might appear through her concern about your decisions, her subtle annoyance when you overwork yourself, or her attempts to guide you away from situations she believes might hurt you. She may not verbalize her feelings directly, but her actions reveal a sense of responsibility and emotional alignment that goes far beyond ordinary friendship. That urge to safeguard your emotions or your physical comfort is a silent indicator of attachment, a sign that she has begun to see you as someone who matters deeply in her inner world. The most telling aspect of soft jealousy and protectiveness is how involuntary these reactions are. She may not want to feel that way, and she may even try to hide it. But emotions often reveal themselves through micro expressions, changes in body language, or shifts in conversational energy. She might try to act indifferent when another woman is mentioned, yet her eyes may drop, her smile may fade, or she may suddenly change the topic. These subtle cues often speak louder than any direct confession. When someone is emotionally attached, they become more aware of potential competition. Even small, harmless interactions can cause internal discomfort. Her mind is subconsciously assessing who holds influence in your life and where she stands in comparison. That emotional calculus is not something casual acquaintances engage in. It comes from a place of caring too much. Soft jealousy also intertwines with emotional fear, the fear of losing the bond she has built with you, even if that bond is unspoken or undefined. If she senses that your attention is drifting, she may unconsciously try to pull it back through deeper conversations, thoughtful gestures, or increased interaction. Similarly, her protectiveness can intensify when she feels that you are distancing yourself or becoming close to someone else. These behaviors show an internal conflict. A part of her wants to maintain boundaries, but another part feels drawn to protect the connection at all costs. Both jealousy and protectiveness are emotional slip-ups, subtle cracks through which the truth leaks out. They reveal not just interest, but attachment, an attachment that she may attempt to hide from the world, from you, and even from herself. Yet her reactions consistently give it away. Guilt or internal conflict is often the strongest and most revealing sign of emotional attraction, especially when feelings arise in a situation where boundaries, commitments, and responsibilities already exist. When a married woman begins to develop emotions for someone outside her relationship, the first reaction she usually experiences is not excitement, but tension within herself. This tension appears because her heart is drifting in one direction, while her moral compass, values, and existing commitments are pulling her in another. Emotional attraction may be subtle at first, just a warm comfort, a sense of connection, or a surprising level of interest in your presence. But the moment these feelings start to grow, she becomes aware that this connection exists outside the lines she is supposed to stay within. That awareness creates internal friction. She might not express it aloud, yet inside her mind, she constantly negotiates with herself. Why am I telling him this much? Why did I think about him again? Why do I feel different around him? These questions reflect the battle between her emotions and her obligations, and that battle itself is a powerful sign of attachment. Guilt appears because emotional attraction challenges her identity as a loyal spouse, a responsible adult, or a morally conscious person. Even if she is doing nothing wrong on the outside, the very fact that she feels something on the inside awakens a sense of responsibility. Married individuals often hold themselves to high standards when it comes to emotional fidelity, not just physical loyalty. So when she realizes that she thinks about you too much, shares too much, or looks for excuses to connect with you, she feels a sense of wrongdoing, even if the connection has never crossed any visible lines. This guilt does not mean she wants to stop interacting with you. It simply means she recognizes the emotional weight of what is happening. The guilt becomes deeper when she notices her own reactions, such as disappointment when you seem distant, happiness when you give her attention, or irritation when another woman appears close to you. These emotional shifts make her feel like she is betraying something sacred, and that emotional dissonance becomes a heavy internal struggle. Internal conflict is also visible in her behavior. She may become inconsistent, warm and open one day, distant and formal the next. This inconsistency isn't a sign of disinterest. It reflects a mind desperately trying to regulate emotions that feel too strong. She might pull back suddenly, start setting boundaries, or become overly conscious of how she interacts with you. These actions usually happen not because she wants to end the connection, but because she fears the consequences of letting it grow further. Her heart may want to move closer to you, but her sense of responsibility forces her to step back. This push and pull dynamic reveals the depth of her feelings more clearly than any romantic gesture could. People only struggle when something matters deeply to them. If she felt nothing, there would be no conflict, no hesitation, no guilt. Another sign of internal conflict is her tendency to justify or explain her actions, even when no explanation is needed. She may repeatedly say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," or "I shouldn't be sharing this much," or "I don't usually talk like this." These statements are glimpses into her inner turmoil. She is trying to reassure herself that she is still in control, that her actions are harmless, and that nothing inappropriate is happening. But the very need to reassure herself shows that she senses the emotional depth beneath the surface. Her mind is trying to protect her values, while her heart is slowly drifting beyond them. This silent emotional conflict becomes the clearest sign of attraction because people only feel guilty when something touches them enough to make them question themselves. Internal conflict is the emotional footprint of a feeling that is growing larger than expected, and guilt becomes the shadow of an attachment she cannot easily deny.